Hello there and welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I'm your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. And today, well, I am showcasing the timeless, rugged elegance of the Submariner sweater, an item of clothing iconic in its appearance, which has been the staple in the well-dressed man's wardrobe for decade after decade. For me, why do I like it? It ticks the two most important boxes of any item which I wear. It is function and it is form. It performs superbly and it looks good. When many people think of the Submariner sweater, they're already forming that mental image of a salty sea dog out on his fishing boat, struggling against the elements to pull in his catch of fish, to struggle through the rough sea back to shore, to land his catch, to feed his family, and at all times fighting against the toughest environment on the planet. And the workwear that he chooses, the Submariner sweater. So let's talk about what makes the Submariner such an iconic item of men's clothing. So let's take a moment to reflect upon the origin story of this wonderful garment that I'm wearing today. And do you know, this seems to happen all the time. When we look into the backstory of items of men's clothing, it starts in warfare, it starts in the military. And the Submariner sweater, or the garment that we recognize today as the Submariner sweater, can trace itself back to an order placed by the British War Ministry for sweaters for sailors of the Royal Navy to help protect the seafarers from the elements when they were out there on the Arctic convoys, First and Second War periods, in which fighting the elements was as much a part of the wartime sailor's life as fighting the enemy. And the Submariner sweater came into being to meet that need. Now, the sweater was universally loved by the seafarers, and as such it has become iconic in its relationship with Royal Navy sailors. Now, within the Royal Navy, the Submariner sweater, as its name would suggest, became a firm favourite with the submarine service, which was a strongly delineated branch of the Royal Navy. Those rugged men who volunteered to fight their battles beneath the waves, where a terrible death faced those who were unsuccessful in their mission. But the Submariner sweater became loved by those men because of its ability to fight the elements. Deep below the sea in the ice cold conditions, the sweater had the ability to keep you warm. And it was rugged enough to really take on anything. And it was comfortable enough to sleep in, to work in, and in those very casual environments. They weren't worried about the look of the uniform when they were in a submarine underwater for day upon end. It was all about functionality, and the Submariner really performed as they hoped it would. Over time, the sweater became synonymous with those people who fought in the submersibles during the war, and as a consequence it took on the name the Submariner sweater. And I still think you look at those iconic images of submariners on the casings of their boats in the war, and you'll see them wearing the sort of iconic sweaters which they wore at all times. Now, the Submariner sweater that I'm choosing to showcase today is a great example of the type of sweater that's been manufactured by British company North Sea Clothing. Now, regular viewers of the channel will recognize that name because last winter time I purchased and showcased one of their amazing Explorer shawl collared cardigans. I'm still wearing it pretty much every day, especially this time of year, particularly when I'm at home, and it is an amazing garment. And the Submariner sweater is manufactured to the same incredibly high degree of quality and workmanship. Made of 100% British wool, British manufactured. It is an absolute pleasure to wear. I have to admit, it is an amazingly corseting and warming sensation to wear 100% high quality woolen garment in any weather, even really cold, blustery conditions like I'm in today. Now, North Sea Clothing and the Submariner sweater are a bit of a hand-in-glove situation, because North Sea Clothing started off their business with a stall on Portobello Road selling ex-military Submariner sweaters, and they ended up growing and growing to the point that they now make a large collection of wonderfully manufactured knitwear garments, which I can only utterly recommend. I have to say, they are not paying me or endorsing me in any way to say these things. I purchased this sweater with my own money. I've got no skin in the game for telling you that North Sea Clothing are great, other than the fact that I can attest that they absolutely changed my opinion on knitwear, because up till I discovered some of their great products, I was one of these guys who just used to buy sweaters because they looked good. I didn't really care what they were made of. But when I now understand that, acrylics and man-made fibers, which are often used in cheaper garments, particularly knitwear, they just don't perform. When it comes to quality knitwear, you've got to be looking at natural fabrics in proper wool, cashmeres, merinos, all of these products which are designed in nature to keep you warm. Now, this North Sea Clothing Submariner sweater remains true to the original garments which were originally issued to the Royal Navy. Of course, they've improved it. It's available, I think, in a range of 6 different colours, and as you can tell, I've gone for this rather fetching orange number because I just think it looks fabulous, particularly as I spend a lot of time in the outdoors, and I think the orange just really meshes well with the earth colours which I often see around me. Now, the garment is made of 100% British wool, and it's made of 5-gauge knit, which means the knit is quite dense, it's quite strong, it's not going to sag, it's not going to flop, it's going to retain its structure, its integrity, and it's going to look good year after year after year. As you can see, the ribbed roll neck around the neck and the throat grips the throat nicely and keeps you nice and snugly and warm. It gives you the feeling of wearing a scarf without actually having to carry an additional scarf. It's also ribbed on the cuffs, which means they can be fitted to the exact size that you want, and ribbed around the waist, meaning you get a nice solid fit. There's no drafts going to blow up the front or the back of your jumper. It's going to keep you beautifully warm and nice and snug, regardless of the elements that you find yourself in. Now, I know a lot of people avoid 100% wool garments simply because they're fearful of the care required to keep them well maintained over a long period of time. But you know what? It is not that onerous, it is not that difficult. You shouldn't need to be washing your jumper frequently unless you're doing sort of dirty work in it or something which ends up getting it muddy or sweaty or smelly. When the time comes, just get yourself some wool specific detergent, which is available from any supermarket. Wash your sweater in it, lightly rinse it, and then get it out and just lay it flat and press out any excess water. Fight the urge to wring it or squeeze the water out, because that could damage the form and the shape of your jumper. So once you've allowed it to settle and push that water out, just let it dry, lying nice and flat, and then when the time comes, stretch it to shape and you're perfect and good to go. Your woolen sweater should last year after year and give you fantastic sterling service. So how do I wear my Submariner sweater? Well, as you can see, I tend to wear mine at the roughest time of the year when I really need to fight the elements, where I need to keep the cold at bay, and something tough and rugged is the only thing that will do. I particularly like to layer it with my clothing which have earth tones, so my Barber jacket, tweeds, anything like that. It is the natural playground for the Submariner sweater, particularly if you want to choose one of the colours which blends quite naturally, like the lighter colours. I love the orange, but I know it may not be for everybody because it's a strong colour, but I think it just pops. It adds a bit of colour to my outdoor outfit and it really makes me smile. And you know, when you're dealing with a sort of iconic masterpiece of 100% British wool like this, you want to make the most of it. You want to wear it on every occasion that you can, and I certainly will. I can only absolutely endorse the Submariner style sweater, and particularly the model which I'm wearing today from North Sea Clothing. You know, they've been a great manufacturer. I'm so glad I discovered them. This particular model cost 175 British pounds, although there will be a sale coming up in the new year, so keep your eyes peeled. I happen to know that North Sea Clothing actually normally sell out of the more popular sizes in their Submariner, so if you're interested, get in there quick and you might bag yourself a jumper which will last you year after year and keep you nice and warm, as it does me as I spend my time in the rugged outdoors. So there we go, folks. I hope you've enjoyed today's video on the Submariner sweater. I think you'll agree it is an investment in your comfort and in your style, which is well worth making. If you have enjoyed the video, I would be delighted if you gave us a thumbs up. And if you're not already a member of the Chap's Guide community, hit the red button, subscribe, and come on the journey with us. And if you want to practically support the channel, of course, you can buy me a coffee. I will leave a link to the Chap's Guide Buy Me a Coffee page down below. Go and join us there. I update that page with a little comment which is only available to my Buy Me a Coffee friends every weekend. I'd love to see you there. So until the next time, take care of yourselves. I will see you again very soon. Stay warm.